Hey, Brook Scholars, welcome back to Remote Learning with me, Mr. Scott. How are you? It's Tuesday. It is June 2nd, and if you are following along with our ABC countdown to summer, today is N Day and it is O Day. Yes, yesterday was monochromatic day, so hopefully you were wearing one color. But anyway, so N is for neckties or necklaces, so this is a great day to wear a necktie or a necklace. And O stands for outside. So hopefully you get outside, get some fresh air inside, you feel the sun shining down, have some fun and games, maybe do a race with someone in your family, maybe build an obstacle course, something like that. As you see, while we are inside today for my reading lesson, I decided that I would definitely get involved with the ABC countdown today, and I would wear necklaces or neckties. And I couldn't find any necklaces that I was totally excited about, but I definitely have lots of ties. The only problem was I just couldn't decide which one I wanted to wear. So we've got this guy over here, this one, and of course this is the Brook tie. There we go, and we've got that on my head. I don't know. I got confused. There was so many ties, and here we are. So the reason that I chose today's story is because I think it is a really, really exciting one. There are two reasons that I get excited about this one. Number one, there are some big, big feelings that we're going to have to make sure that we include in our retell when we get to that part of the video, and I ask you to smash the pause button. The other thing is that this is a great story in terms of giving a lesson. Now, usually you turn to like a folk tale or some sort of fantasy piece to get a really strict moral. You know, that's the reason as to why the story is told and has been passed down through the generations as a folk tale. But this one, the main character learns a very, very important lesson. And I feel like it's a great reminder for each and every one of us. So we're doing this for two reasons. Number one, we're reading it to make sure that we're practicing our awesome reading skills and habits, but also we can learn the same lesson that this character right here learns, Naya. So we're going to read about Naya, and I just love the opening sentence of this passage. If you're looking at it right now, it's only 5 words long, but what a great start to this story. Okay, so let me remind you that this is fiction. It's actually realistic fiction. Yesterday, of course, we read a fantasy piece, and now my F has gotten all weird. I don't know what happened there. Let me see if I can make any sort of changes there. I kind of took my mistake and made it into a masterpiece. Not really sure how that happened, actually. Anywho, let's do this, shall we? Let's jump right in. Here we go. The stop sign. Remember, we're going to pay attention to how the character is feeling, and the character feelings are changing a lot in this story. And then by the end, the character is going to learn a lesson, and we should be looking for that lesson and trying to discover what it is as a great reader, and also learning that same lesson ourselves so that our lives can be better. Here we go. The stop sign. Naya felt like a thunderstorm. Isn't that great? What a way to start a story. Naya felt like a thunderstorm. Right now, I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking, how have I felt if I felt like a thunderstorm? Well, usually a thunderstorm is loud and wild and out of control and dangerous. It's a very kind of unhappy feeling to have to feel like a thunderstorm. If you've ever been around someone that's acting like they are a thunderstorm, it's kind of scary sometimes. Naya felt like a Woo! Buckle up, folks. This is going to be good. Everything had gone wrong that day. Things began to get stormy first thing that morning when she found her must wear shirt for Spirit Day at the bottom of the dirty clothes hamper, mud streaked and wrinkled. Now, we know what Spirit Day is, but you probably noticed that there's a little footnote there that says number 1. So we're going to go, where are we going? Yes, foot at the bottom. We're going to go all the way down to the bottom of the page. And here it is, number 1, Spirit Day, a day for showing school pride. So it's a day for Naya when you're all supposed to be wearing the same shirt, and hers is dirty at the bottom of a hamper. She raced down to the kitchen and glared at her mother. "I can't believe you didn't wash clothes last night," she nearly shouted. "It's your job to keep our clothes clean, you know." Naya knew right away that she was in big trouble as her mother slowly turned from the counter where she was making Naya's lunch and looked her daughter in the eye. Uh-oh, Naya thought. Her mother could look at you in a way that was much scarier than a movie monster. "Naya, you have a bus to catch, and I don't really have time to say everything that I'm thinking of this very minute." her mother said quietly, her eyebrows raised. But you can be sure we'll have a very interesting conversation about it tonight. Naya ran to the bus stop with tears in her eyes. At school, her bad luck kept rolling. When she walked into class, she saw Mr. Smith at the front of the classroom with a stack of papers in his hand, waiting for everyone to sit down. The unit test! She had completely forgotten about it and had not looked at her workbook in a week. Why hadn't Mr. Smith reminded them yesterday? Mr. Smith, don't you usually remind us about tests the day before? She asked her teacher quietly when he handed her a stapled set of papers. She hadn't meant to sound so annoyed, and Naya instantly wished she had said nothing. Mr. Smith's eyebrows went up, just the way her mother's had earlier. Naya, I did remind the class yesterday, he said. It was the last thing we talked about before the bell rang. I guess this means you weren't listening? Her classmates giggled. Excuse me. Naya flushed with embarrassment and kept her eyes on the tests. She was sure she would fail. Now, did you spot that one, readers? Did you see that little number 2 there at the end of the word embarrassment? What does the word embarrassment mean? Hmm? Hmm? Well, let's use this footnote down here at the bottom of the page. Embarrassment means shame and uneasiness. Naya is feeling shame and uneasiness. She's not ready for the tests, and she shouldn't have asked her teacher why they didn't get a reminder when he did remind them. Anywho, she did her best, but there were no bright lightning bolts in her brain when she looked at the questions. She wasn't sure that any of her answers were right. I love that description. As we go down here to the next page, bright lightning bolts in her brain. You know, when you're answering a question, you're like, "Oh, I know what the answer is." Yeah. Anywho, the next cloud rolled into Naya's day on the playground during recess. As Naya walked by her best friend Alice, she heard Caitlin Jones laughing and poking fun at Naya's audition for the school musical. She sounded like a frog, Caitlin said. I wonder who told her she could sing. When Naya stopped, prepared to thunder at the annoying Caitlin, Alice pushed Naya forward. Don't even think about arguing with that girl, Alice said. You know that's exactly what she wants. Saying nothing is the best revenge. But Naya couldn't stop herself and walked straight over to Caitlin. So, Caitlin, you think you can sing? Well, I sure hope you can, given what a huge mouth you have. Caitlin stared at Naya, her face turning red. She turned and marched quickly into the school. The kids Caitlin had been talking to turned and looked at Naya as if she were a monster. Naya thought they were right. Alice, shaking her head at Naya, grabbed her by the elbow and steered her toward the door. Well, that was nice, Naya, she said. You fixed things by saying something really mean to Caitlin. I know what she said wasn't right, but sometimes you just have to keep your thoughts to yourself. You have no idea, Naya thought, her heart sinking at the thought of seeing her mother that evening. I know, she told Alice. I feel terrible, but it's been such an awful, awful day. I can't seem to do anything right. Sorry, Alice said, but there's still half a day left, you know? Naya's face brightened. I guess that's true, she said. She knew her mother was going to punish her for her outburst that morning, but maybe she could think of the right words to say she was sorry, and she would do the same with Caitlin. You know, Naya, Alice said kindly, my grandma says that I need to imagine a stop sign between my brain and my mouth. She says when thoughts come into your brain, you have to make them wait at the stop sign before they can come out of your mouth. If you don't, she says you end up saying a lot of things you wish you'd kept to yourself. Naya laughed. I think I'm going to get one of those stop signs for myself, she said, and boy, will my mom be happy. Hey, there we have it. Hair toss, check my nails. Um, Okay, what a wonderful story, my friends. A realistic fiction story, complete with arguments and big feelings. Right, here's what to do. You now need to smash that pause button and retell the story. Retell all of this story, making sure to include how Naya was feeling. All right, are you ready? Pause. Did you do it? Did you make sure to pause? Did you retell all of that story with feelings? Well, let's make sure that yours and mine are the same. I'm going to try not to leave anything out. Okay, Naya. Naya's at home. It's the morning. It's a school day. She is supposed to be wearing her Spirit Day school shirt. But when she goes looking for it, she finds it at the bottom of the hamper, and it's dirty, and it's gross, and she can't wear it. So what does she do? Well, she runs downstairs to her mother in the kitchen, and she yells at her mother, saying, "You should have cleaned my clothes, but you didn't." And her mother turns around, and Naya goes, "Uh-oh, I wish I hadn't said that." But it was too late. The damage was done, and Naya's mother was very, very frustrated with Naya having said this. They didn't have a big conversation about it right there because Naya was already late to get the bus to go to school. But Naya's mother said, "When you come home, Naya, we're going to have a very serious discussion." And so Naya goes off, and even though she was angry at first about the shirt, and then she got angry at her mother, but realized that she shouldn't have said that. She was feeling quite embarrassed in that moment, and then she was feeling horribly sad as she's running to the bus stop in tears. That was only the first part of the story, and the character's feelings changed dramatically 3 different times. So the setting changes now, and we are finally at school. And Naya goes into the school, goes into Mr. Smith's class, and realizes that it's the day of the big unit test. Uh-oh. Naya wasn't ready. She wasn't prepared, and so she was scared. But then she got a little bit attitudinal, when she said to Mr. Smith, "Hey, why didn't you tell us? Why didn't you remind us about this?" And then, unfortunately, I hadn't been listening yesterday, and Mr. Smith had reminded the class that they had the big test today. And so some of the kids in class were giggling. And I felt embarrassed again, embarrassed that she'd called out, and embarrassed that she hadn't been listening, and embarrassed because now her friends are laughing at her. Well, she took the test, and it didn't go great. It didn't go well at all. She wasn't sure of her answers. So then the scene changes again. The setting changes. Now we go outside for recess, and we're on the playground, and there's lots of kids around. And then there's one kid, what's her name? Caitlin, was it Caitlin Jones? Caitlin Jones. And Caitlin Jones is talking to a group of students. And she's talking about Naya's audition when she was trying out to be a part of the school musical. And Caitlin Jones is making fun of Naya. And Naya heard this conversation. And Naya is working with her friend Alice. And Alice is such a wonderful friend. She is so kind and so caring. And she says, "Listen, don't go and talk to Caitlin. Don't address the fact that she's talking about you. Let's let it go. Let's just move on. We don't need to do this." But Naya, again, cannot control her feelings, can't stop her mouth from saying things that were going to get her in trouble. She goes straight up to Caitlin and calls her a big mouth. And then Caitlin just turns around, just walks right away into the school, and all of the friends are staring at Naya like, "You are a monster. Oh my goodness." And then Naya's feeling really badly about the thing that she said, and Alice, good friend that she is, pulls Naya away from that scene. They go off to a different part of the school, and excuse me. And Alice says, "You've got to stop this. Even though it's been a bad day, there's something that my grandmother always told me, and it's about a stop sign." And that goes back to the title of this piece, right? Excuse me. It's always best to have a stop sign to stop your thoughts from coming out of your mouth. Sometimes we can get really, really upset or really scared or really sad, and we say things without thinking about how our words are going to affect other people. And Naya's been doing this throughout the course of the day. She did it with Caitlin Jones. She did it with Mr. Smith. She did it to her mother. She's constantly saying things that she should probably just keep in her head. It's okay to have those thoughts, but to say them out loud hurts other people's feelings and ends up getting you into a lot of trouble. And so, a stop sign. Alice tells the story of her grandmother who's told her the story about having a stop sign, that you can have the thoughts in your head, but before they come out of your mouth, they get stopped at a stop sign, and you have to stop and think, should I be saying this out loud? Is this going to be good for me? And Naya gets really excited about that. And she thinks, what? Maybe I can take the rest of the half of this really awful day and I can apologize and say sorry to my mother and say sorry to Caitlin Jones. And that in the future, I will have that stop sign in my head so it stops the word coming out of your mouth. Yeah. And that's just about it. Now, that's the lesson that the character learned, and that is a great lesson for us. I hope you've never been in that situation, my friends, but I've been in that situation more than once where I say something out loud and I wish, right after the words leave my mouth, I wish, oh, if I could just take that back. And you see that horrible look on your friend's face or someone in your family when they hear what you've said and they go, and you go, no, no, I'm sorry. No, I didn't mean to say that. Why did I say that? it sounds like that whatever had been said did not get stopped at the stop sign as it should have been. So make sure you get your stop sign. Take your stop sign and cram it in your head. That's going to be good. It's going to help you not say words that are going to get you in trouble and hurt people's feelings. All right, my friends. Well done, you. Listen, here's what to do. You need to answer the multiple choice questions and the short answer questions. Snap a picture, put it up on Seesaw for all the world to see. Can't wait to see all of your wonderful work. Have a wonderful necklace necktie outside day, and I'll see you back here on the Ultimate Champions. Great, just incredible YouTube channel with these wonderful second grade teachers. Until tomorrow, my friends, I'll see you on Wednesday. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.